Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Maria, a Filipino action film from 2019. So our main character here is a woman named Maria, of course, who has a husband and a little daughter. Now things seem to be going well for this family until one fateful day when a criminal notices Maria from a distance. Apparently, she's a former cartel assassin who was presumed dead years ago. But now that the bad guys know that she's alive, they intend on seeking revenge against her. So she gets roped back into this violent underworld and ends up fighting against most of the criminals in this film. Now one thing you'll notice early on is that this film actually spends quite a bit of time with the criminals. You know, these guys are very mean-spirited, violent, and ruthless. If one of their own men betrays them or screws up, they torture and murder them with no remorse. This is something that I appreciate in action films, because you like to have a bad guy who's pretty bad, you know what I mean? And they do that here. Also, the conflict within the criminal organization exists as well. You know, they have a boss, of course, but he seems to favor some of his underlings more than others, and that creates some animosity between the men. Now, from a script writing standpoint, this is a good idea, but unfortunately, the execution is not very compelling. The big problem is that these bad guys are simply not developed very well. You know, their interaction consists of yelling at each other and torturing people. I mean, that's basically all that they do for much of the film. The only thing we know about these guys is that they're bad people who do not like one another, but they work together for a common interest, which is, I guess, money. That's about it. And the fact that they have a lot of screen time only makes this film more repetitive than it needs to be. You know, by the midpoint, I was like, yeah, you know, I get it. These guys are bad. Let's get some nuance here, some complexity or development of their individual characters a bit more. And it did not really give me that. Now, in regard to our main character, she's likable, but her story is just so cliche that she does not leave much of an impression when all is said and done. You know, the lead actress is pretty good, I think. I liked her. But the acting from the supporting cast in general is pretty below average, and that does not help her or her character's arc. It's not too good. So the overall quality outside of the action in this film is pretty dodgy. It's pretty dodgy, and the story is something we've seen like a million times before. But the question is, does the action itself save the film? I think that's debatable. It's debatable. You know, there is some entertaining action scenes here. The fight choreography is pretty good and is hard-hitting enough to be entertaining. The shootouts are also pretty good. You know, especially the one during the finale, which I think is probably one of the highlights of the film. But there's really nothing in Maria in terms of action that's truly memorable or impactful or really kind of like next level type stuff. The action is simply good. You know, it's simply good. One criticism I would make, though, regarding the action is that the final fight at the very end of the film is pretty underwhelming for a final fight. You know, it's over too quickly, and it's probably the least impressive fight of the entire film, and they put it at the end. So that's not the way you want to finish your action movie. You know, you would prefer the best action scene or one of the best fights occur near the final stage of the film to give the viewer a sense of satisfaction. This film doesn't really do that. So there's really not much more I could say about this film. You know, it might be a passable time waster if you're an action junkie and you can overlook a lot of flaws. But most people, most general moviegoers, will probably not like this film very much. And remember, there are a bunch of entertaining action movies in recent memory that I've covered on this channel that you should probably watch before this one. But the good news, though, is that, you know, we have been getting some Filipino and Vietnamese movie releases on Netflix lately in the United States, and that's a nice trend, and I hope it will continue in the near future, because, you know, I'd like to see more of these Southeast Asian films get some proper releases in the US. So if there's any that pop up that are kind of big name or are notable to review, I'll continue to review them for you. So right now, Maria, you know, it's okay. You know, it's okay. Currently available on Netflix, as I said, in the United States. And as always, I'll see you next time.